The Digital Monk, Ancient Calm for a Hyperconnected World by David Russo. You wake up before your mind is fully online, and your hand is already searching for your phone. Before you have formed a single conscious thought, the world is already inside your head. Messages, headlines, notifications, updates, and demands competing for space in your awareness. The first thing you give away each day is your attention. And slowly, without noticing it, your attention is no longer yours. It is pulled in hundreds of directions by systems designed to capture it, hold it, and monetize it. You are present everywhere except within yourself. The modern world has not taken your freedom by force. It has taken it through distraction. The result is a life that feels busy but unfocused, connected but empty, stimulated but restless. You move through the day reacting instead of choosing, consuming instead of creating, scrolling instead of being. This is not a failure of discipline. It is the environment you live in. But there is another way to live inside this same world, one where technology no longer controls your attention, and your attention no longer controls you. This is where the path begins. This is the path of the digital monk. Introduction: The New Monastery. There was a time when silence was natural. Life moved slower. Attention was not constantly pulled in competing directions. The mind had space to breathe between thoughts, and people lived more inside their present moment than inside a stream of constant information. Today, the silence has disappeared. We live in a world where attention is the most valuable currency. Every app, platform, and device competes for it. The result is a quiet crisis that most people do not fully recognize. Chronic distraction disguised as normal life. We wake up and immediately enter stimulation. We consume information before we even connect with ourselves. And by the time the day begins, our minds are already fragmented. The consequences are subtle but powerful. Anxiety increases, focus weakens, rest feels less restorative. Even free time becomes another opportunity to consume more content. Many people respond by wanting to escape technology entirely. But the issue is not technology itself. It is unconscious use. The digital monk is not someone who rejects the modern world. It is someone who learns to move through it without losing themselves inside it. Instead of withdrawing from life, they develop inner discipline within it. In the past, monks went into monasteries to protect their attention and cultivate inner clarity. Today, the monastery is no longer a place, it is a practice. It is the ability to remain present in a world designed to pull you away from presence. This book is about building that inner monastery, not by escaping life, but by learning to meet it differently. Chapter 1. Attention is your life. Your attention is not just something you use. It is something you live through. Whatever you consistently focus on begins shaping your thoughts, your emotions, and eventually your identity. Attention is the foundation of experience. It determines what becomes real in your inner world. Modern life is built around capturing it. Every notification, video, and headline is designed to interrupt your focus and redirect it somewhere else. Over time, this creates a fragmented mind that struggles to stay present with anything for long. Most people do not realize how often they leave themselves throughout the day. They are physically present but mentally scattered. They eat without awareness, work without depth, and rest without restoration. This fragmentation slowly becomes a way of living. The digital monk begins by recognizing a simple truth. Where attention goes, life follows. If attention is constantly consumed by noise, comparison, and distraction, inner life becomes noisy and unstable. But attention can be reclaimed, not through force, but through awareness. By observing where your mind goes, you begin to see patterns. You notice how often you reach for stimulation without intention. You begin to recognize what drains you and what strengthens you. Awareness creates choice. Choice creates change. When you reclaim your attention, you begin reclaiming your life. Chapter 2: Dopamine and the Distracted Mind. Your brain was designed for survival, not endless stimulation. Dopamine is part of that system. It motivates you to seek rewards, explore new possibilities, and stay engaged with life. But modern technology has learned how to exploit this system. Infinite scrolling, unpredictable notifications, and constant novelty create a cycle that keeps your brain searching for the next small hit of stimulation. You are not just using technology, you are being trained by it. Over time, this changes how the mind works. Stillness starts to feel uncomfortable. Boredom feels unbearable. Silence feels empty. The brain becomes dependent on constant input just to feel normal. This is not pleasure, it is overstimulation. And overstimulation eventually leads to exhaustion. Even when you are resting, your mind is still active, still scanning, still seeking. The nervous system never fully resets. The digital monk begins to reverse this conditioning through intentional simplicity. Small moments without stimulation restore balance. Walking without devices, eating without screens, sitting in silence, reducing notifications. At first, this feels uncomfortable. That discomfort is withdrawal from constant input. But underneath that discomfort is something important. Your mind remembering how to be still. And in that stillness, clarity begins to return. Chapter 3: The Ritual of Morning Silence. The first hour of your day shapes everything that follows. Most people begin their morning in reaction. Messages, news, social media, emails. Before they have fully awakened, their attention is already outside of themselves. The world enters first, and the mind follows. This creates a subtle but powerful effect. The day begins without inner grounding. The digital monk chooses differently. Instead of beginning with consumption, they begin with presence, not through complex routines, but through intentional silence. Even a few minutes of stillness changes the tone of the day. It creates space between waking and reacting. In that space, awareness returns before the world takes over. Morning silence is not about productivity. It is about alignment. It is a way of remembering yourself before external demands begin shaping your attention. This can be as simple as sitting quietly, breathing deeply, stepping outside, or delaying phone use. What matters is not the form, but the intention. At first, silence may feel unfamiliar. The mind will reach for stimulation, but over time, something shifts. The morning becomes less about urgency and more about clarity. Instead of entering the day already scattered, you enter it centered. And that changes everything that follows. Chapter 4: Digital Minimalism. The modern world encourages accumulation. More apps, more content, more notifications, more access. But accumulation does not always create richness. Often it creates noise. Digital minimalism is the practice of removing what does not serve your attention. Every digital input carries a cost: mental energy, emotional influence, and cognitive space. Most people never audit what they consume, so their minds become crowded without realizing it. The digital monk begins to simplify. Unnecessary apps are removed. Notifications are reduced. Content that creates stress or comparison is unfollowed. Digital space becomes intentional rather than reactive. This is not about restriction, it is about clarity. When noise is reduced, something noticeable happens. The mind becomes quieter, thoughts become clearer, focus becomes stronger, emotional pressure decreases. Minimalism is not emptiness, it is space. And in that space, attention becomes easier to protect, and life becomes easier to experience fully. Chapter 5, Solitude in the Age of Noise. Modern life rarely allows solitude. Even in alone moments, people fill the silence with audio, screens, or constant stimulation. Being alone without distraction has become uncomfortable for many, but solitude is not loneliness. Loneliness is disconnection from others. Solitude is reconnection with yourself. Without solitude, the mind never fully processes experience. Thoughts remain unfinished. Emotions remain unexamined. Inner clarity becomes difficult to access. The digital monk practices solitude not as isolation, but as restoration. Simple moments, walking without a phone, sitting quietly, observing nature, become opportunities to return inward. At first, the mind resists. It seeks distraction, but over time, silence becomes stabilizing. In solitude, you begin hearing your own thoughts again. Beneath the noise of the world, something quieter reappears, self-awareness. And from that awareness, clarity begins to grow. Chapter 6, Emotional Mastery in a Reactive Culture. Modern digital culture thrives on emotional reaction. Outrage spreads faster than calmness. Fear spreads faster than understanding. Platforms are designed to keep you emotionally engaged because emotion keeps attention. Without awareness, this creates instability. People become reactive to everything they see. Their moods shift based on headlines, posts, and comments. Inner stability becomes dependent on external events. The digital monk learns to create space between stimulus and reaction. That space is where emotional freedom exists. Instead of immediately responding, they observe. Instead of absorbing every emotional trigger, they pause. They ask whether the reaction is necessary or simply automatic. This does not mean suppressing emotion. It means understanding it. Emotional mastery is not control, it is awareness. And awareness creates stability in a world designed for instability. Chapter 7, Deep Work, Deep Life. A distracted mind produces a shallow life. Constant interruptions prevent deep thinking, meaningful creation, and sustained focus. Many people feel busy but unfulfilled because their attention never stays in one place long enough to create depth. Deep work is the opposite of fragmentation. It is the ability to focus fully on one thing without distraction. At first, this feels difficult. The mind resists stillness. It craves novelty. But focus strengthens through repetition. Each time you resist distraction, attention becomes stronger. And with stronger attention comes deeper experience. Work becomes more meaningful. Thinking becomes clearer. And life becomes more immersive. Depth is not just about productivity. It is about how fully you experience life itself. Chapter 8, Relationships Beyond Screens. Technology has made communication constant but not necessarily meaningful. Many relationships now exist alongside screens rather than through presence. People are physically together but mentally elsewhere. The digital monk practices presence in relationships. Full attention, no divided focus, no background distraction. Real connection is not built through frequency of messages, but through quality of attention. When someone feels fully seen, something deeper forms: trust, understanding, and emotional safety. Small changes restore depth. Putting phones away during conversations, listening without interruption, being fully present during shared time. These are simple actions, but they change relationships profoundly, because attention is one of the purest forms of love. Chapter 9, Purpose Beyond Productivity. Productivity measures output. Purpose measures meaning. Modern life often confuses the two, leading people to believe that being busy equals being fulfilled. But constant activity without direction leads to exhaustion, not meaning. The digital monk steps back from constant doing to ask deeper questions. What matters? What is worth my time? What kind of life am I building? Purpose is not found in efficiency. It is found in alignment between actions and values. When alignment exists, even simple tasks feel meaningful. When it doesn't, even success feels empty. Life is not a race of output. It is a question of direction. Chapter 10, Becoming the Digital Monk. The digital monk is not a fixed identity. It is a practice of returning to awareness. You will not always be focused. You will not always be present. Distraction will still appear. But mastery is not perfection. It is return. Again and again you notice. Again and again you come back. Over time this changes everything. Not because the world becomes quieter, but because your relationship to it becomes clearer. Technology remains, noise remains, but your awareness strengthens. And in that awareness, something shifts. You are no longer lost inside the system. You are observing it. That is the beginning of freedom. Conclusion: the quiet revolution within. The world will always compete for your attention. That will not change. What can change is your relationship to it. This book is not about escape. It is about awareness, not about rejecting modern life, but about learning to remain present within it. Every chapter leads back to one truth. Your attention shapes your life. Where it goes, you go. And so transformation does not begin with drastic change. It begins with small moments of noticing, small moments of returning, small moments of choosing presence over autopilot. You will forget at times. You will drift, but you can always return. That return is the practice. And over time, those returns become a way of living. Not perfect, not detached, but awake. And in that wakefulness, something quietly revolutionary happens. You begin to live your own life again.